Easter greetings from my mother's rhubarb patch. Today I thought we would do one of my friend Katie's favourites, a roulade. I thought it would be perfect for an Easter dessert. So, and gloriously, I have quite a lot of rhubarb. So I'm going to pick some of this. Now we must remember when picking rhubarb to pull it from the base rather than cutting it to encourage regrowth. Okay. Oh, to the kitchen. Okay, so here we are back in the kitchen, and I've got my rhubarb which I've prepped. So I've just taken the leaves off as they are poisonous, and then just cut it into sort of roughly equal lengths. If it's a particularly chunky stalk, I will cut that in half again. So I've just got them with a splash of water and a nice pass of sugar, but do remember it's going with a meringue, as we're doing a meringue roulade, so not too sweet. So now I'm going to pop those in the oven at around 180 degrees, just so they're evenly cooked. At this point I would also add perhaps some orange zest and juice, but I don't have any oranges, so I can't be doing that, but you can. So now to our meringue. So you may well know that meringue consists of egg white and sugar. That's pretty much it, very simple. So in here I have my egg whites, and I like to weigh my egg whites just because I think you can get such varying size of egg. It's best to be as accurate as possible. So I've got those in there, and then I've got my sugar here. Now I couldn't get hold of any caster sugar, so I've got granulated, but really it's exactly the same, it's just coarser. So you can have granulated, and if you blitzed it, it would become caster sugar, and if you blitzed that, it would become icing sugar. It's all sugar. So I'm going to pop this in my lovely Kenwood, which you may or may not have, or KitchenAid, or you can also a hand whisk perhaps. Or if you're feeling particularly energetic and want to work on your arm muscles, you can do it by hand. So I'm going to put that on and wait until it's foamed up, and then I'm going to start gradually adding the sugar. I've also put a pinch of salt in the sugar, just because I like to put a pinch of salt in everything, because I think it works so well and seems to not do any harm, so why not? So I've taken my rhubarb out the oven, so it's nicely tender. They are still all in their baton shapes. For this particular roulade, it probably wouldn't matter if you took them slightly further because it would work with the puree, but they're looking good. I've also done my meringue, so it's nice and glossy, lovely soft peaks. Woo. Delight. And so at this point, if you wanted to, you could also perhaps add some extra additions to your meringue. Perhaps a nut. I often like a toasted hazelnut perhaps. Goes particularly well with a raspberry, or with a rhubarb. If I had any almonds, flaked almonds would be lovely on this. But I don't, so I won't. So I'm going to pour out my meringue onto my lined tray. There we go. A soft cloud. There we go. Just like a soft cloud. Okay, and then I'm going to take my palette knife and just spread it out evenly. There we go. It's got a lovely gloss. I think this is a really nice one for Easter, just to give you a little break from all the chocolate. There we go. So you just want to make sure it's evenly spread and reaches all the edges. Okay, and I've set my oven temperature to about 160 because I know my oven's a bit on the hot side. So once you've got an even layer, I like to take my palette knife and make a nice stripe. This is a top tip that I learned from the genius JR from Ballymaloo. There we go. So just when you roll it, it will have a lovely pattern on it. Okay, there we go. So that's ready to go in the oven. Probably about 15 to 20 minutes. We'll pop it in. Okay, so now I've got my meringue all cooked. There we go, lovely. So that's cooled now. Now to the construction. So the key to rolling is paper. So I'm going to flip this out onto here, upside down, and then this is going to be very important for our rolling. There we go. Remove our tray, remove our paper. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to put all our fun stuff in it. So here I have whipped together some double cream and a bit of creme fraiche, just for a nice bit of tartness. I think it works well with rhubarb as well, and just a little bit of sugar. So we're going to spread that on. I also thought for fun I would add some crystallised ginger, because I found it at the back of my mum's cupboard, and I know that rhubarb and ginger is a lovely combination. I must say I haven't done this before, but if you don't try, you don't know. So we'll give it a go. You can always add other things to your cream or do infusions. For example, a really nice one for the summer would be making an elderflower cream and having it with strawberries and meringue and roulade. Absolute heaven. But we're going to go with our rhubarb and ginger. Okay, so that's all in. So, I mean, I'm usually very bad at over creaming it, just because, I mean, why wouldn't you? But then that does tend to result in most of the cream then splurging out when you roll it. So you've got to be a little bit careful. So you want to leave a little bit of a gap on the edge for splurging. There we go. So it's not too much, because remember you're going to roll it over, so each bit will definitely have creamy goodness. Put a little bit more in there. There we go. So next up is our rhubarb. Okay. So with this, you want to be careful again that you don't get too much liquid, otherwise it will all sort of dribble out. So I'm going to do it in a nice row, all these lovely pink bits. And then if you imagine rolling it, so you've got some in there and then you want some maybe in the next bit. If you've got a puree, you can just spread an even layer over it also. Lovely and pink. There we go. So I think you definitely want to know it's rhubarb, so it has to be there. You can also, when you serve it, add a little bit of extra rhubarb for its pink delight. Okay, so the roll, the moment of truth to see if this is going to be okay. I'm going to put this piece of paper just over here so I've got something to overlap onto. The first roll bit is the most important, so you want to make sure that's really there. So that's going to form the centre of your spiral. So that's that. And then, so as you're rolling, you're using the paper to help you do this. There we go. Make sure you've got the edges so you're going an even roll. There we go. I can tuck my paper underneath there. Ta-da! Phew! So that worked quite well. Thank goodness. So there you have a beautiful roll. So you can now decorate it in whichever way you fancy or see fit. Some nice extra bits of cream perhaps, depending on the flavour you've gone for, perhaps some zest, some fresh berries. I'm just going to go for a light sprinkling of icing sugar. There we go. So then again, we've kept it on the paper, so that should hopefully help you when it comes to moving it onto some sort of serving plate. And there we go. I think that's an Easter delight. And so all the recipe details are below. We'll be posting on YouTube and also IGTV, because apparently that's what all the trendy kids are doing. So it'll be there. So yes, if you've got any questions or queries, do let me know over Instagram. Or if there's anything else particular you'd like to learn or see, do let me know. Okay, happy Easter.